What's crack, peeps? Daz here from Real Sounds back again. Doing a bit of a different angle today. I figured you guys were getting a bit sick of me, inducing motion sickness with every video with a handheld. So I finally got myself a wee tripod, so everything should be a little bit more still and be a bit nicer to look at. So guys, today we're going to talk about Pixar's latest release on Disney Plus, and that is Soul. Now, this review is going to be a bit different. I'm obviously going to comment on the movie itself and how good it is, and everything I usually do here. But I'm also going to delve a wee bit into how it made me feel as a viewer, a little bit further than I normally would. I've seen quite a few reviews have done this, and it's a very thought-provoking film. And yeah, we're just going to talk about it today. So, Soul stars Jamie Foxx as Joe. Now, Joe is a jazz musician. He's a music teacher in a middle school. Bit down on his luck, he's never quite had his time to shine, if you like, but he's always hustled, he's always hoped and dreamed, and he's always felt it within his soul, no pun intended, that he was meant for bigger and greater things. So he finally gets his shot, he finally gets a gig, which he's been longing for a long time, and unfortunately, Joe meets his end at the bottom of a manhole. You've seen it in the trailer, he falls down the sewer and he dies. And then that's when we go to the great beyond, when we see him kind of like a marshmallow man. At least that's how I always thought about it. And there he meets Soul 22, Tina Fey, and they go on a journey through the great beyond, which is like the metaphor for heaven, and then the great before, which is where all souls are prepared to go to earth. So let's talk about it. The animation I'm going to comment on first. This is the most real metaphysical portrayal of humans that I've ever seen from Pixar. Like, every Pixar movie that gets released, the animation always gets better, but this is the most photoreal I've ever seen them attempt to go for, at least the least cartoony when we're on Earth. And I thought it was breathtaking. Like, I watched this on my Sony Bravia 4K television, and my god, I mean, I might as well have been watching a 4K Blu-ray. It was that sharp. I mean, the colors were great, the character models were all amazing, the lighting was perfect. Like, every situation that the characters found them in, outside and like inside, the lighting conditions were always amazing. It's very kinetic as well. The whole film is very kinetic. It moves very fast. There's a lot of moving parts, so there's always something going on to keep your interest. Keep your eye interested in the image. And yeah, it's just, and the colors, whenever they're bright and vivid, they catch your eye as well. You always are sitting there going, I'm not hating what I'm actually looking at. You always enjoy what you're looking at. The voice acting I thought was great as well. Jamie Foxx and Tina Fey plays Soul 22. They have a really, really good chemistry, at least vocally with each other. They riff off each other really well, and the banter between their characters is great. And I think there's a wee bit of improvisation in between some of their lines, because Tina Fey obviously has been a comedian and a presenter, and Jamie Foxx, although predominantly known as an actor, was also a stand-up comedian in the 90s. If you've never seen his impression of Mike Tyson, watch it, because it's great. And it's especially funnier now, the fact he's going to play Mike Tyson in a biopic. So yeah, thought they were great. The music I really enjoyed. The music was very uplifting. But here's the thing about Pixar. Pixar movies, to me, are like a shot of happiness. The Cars franchise notwithstanding, Cars isn't terrible, but it's definitely not Pixar at their best. Every Pixar film that I've ever seen, and I've seen them all, I go into it maybe not feeling the best, and I finish it off, feeling like I've just had a massive, nostalgia bomb for one, because, I remember how I felt as a kid watching something amazing for the first time, and Pixar always gives you that inner child feeling, any film you watch. This one, not as much, but still very effective. Now we're going to get into my thoughts on, my deeper thoughts on the film. The film is very thought-provoking, and it's very adult in its themes and messages. So much so that kids, whilst they're going to enjoy what they're looking at, kids are going to watch this and not bring up, catch on to all the wee nuances. And that's fine, because all Pixar films, from Toy Story to Monsters Inc. to Incredibles, When I saw them as a kid, I loved them just for the sheer entertainment that was on display. And then as I watch them when I'm a bit older, I pick up on all the different themes that are inside it. I see people giving it a Soul quite a critique for being quite mature, but guys, that's all Pixar films. All Pixar films are like that. They're for families. They aren't for kids. And Pixar films are so rewatchable because you can watch them at any age, really. From, say, you've seen, I don't know, Toy Story when you were 6 years old, and you see it when you're 26, 20 years later, you can still enjoy it because you remember how you felt when you first saw it, but you enjoy it for different reasons because you pick up on all the different adult, minute themes that as a 6 year old, you just don't have the brain capacity to really, grasp. So that's great. Soul is going to be no different. Soul is going to be endlessly rewatchable for everybody. Everyone can relate to this movie, from kids to teenagers to preteens to young adults to adults to old people. Everyone can find something to enjoy in this film. Now, there's a lot of thought-provoking things in The Great Before. I'm not going to get into spoilers, but you sit there watching it and you're sitting there going, right, souls are being prepped to go to Earth to be put into bodies, essentially. The bodies as the vehicle for the soul, in a sense. And, Soul 22, this is in the trailer, there's a line, something that Soul 22 says, where it's like, we prep to go to Earth, but Earth is the worst place on Earth, something to that effect. I'm paraphrasing. But I thought that was really thought-provoking because, Joe doesn't want to go to the great beyond, yet he wants to stay on Earth to fulfill his destiny. Soul 22 doesn't want to go to Earth because everyone that she meets in between the great before and the great beyond, they all say the same thing, that Earth sucks, and it does. Yes, there's loads of things to enjoy on this planet, and we're very lucky all to be alive, especially after this past year we've had. But let's be honest with ourselves. Earth can be a very dark and violent place in many ways. It doesn't have to be physical violence. It can be, emotional violence. It can be financial dire straits. It could just be a bad string of bad luck. It could be criminal activity. It could be anything. It could be war. It could be political tensions. Like, for example, with the Brexit deal going on right now, there's a lot of political tensions going on with it. And you're just sitting there going, I can relate to Soul 22 so much because maybe thinking about it as an adult, maybe you're sitting there going, you know what, yeah, the Earth kind of does suck a little bit. And it's, maybe it's not all it's cracked up to be. When you're young, your parents usually feed you the line. It's like, oh, the world's yours, so you can accomplish anything if you set your mind to it. And sometimes you can just work so hard and you don't achieve what you hope for, and you just get a bad hand. I call it Darth Maul syndrome because I'm a massive Star Wars fan. It's like some people are just destined to roll a boulder up the hill, only for the boulder every time to hit the bottom of the hill, and that's just the life they're destined to live. You may get a couple wee wins here and there, but they're never the wins that you really hope for. On the other hand, you can relate to Joe because you want Joe to fulfill what he thinks is his destiny, and you want him to go back, and you want him to get that gig, and you want him to feel happy, and you want to feel happy for him. So it's really interesting. They're polar. The two of them are polar opposites, but you relate and agree to each one. But the movie also makes you think, right, Earth, whilst it may not be what we all hope it to be, the land of peace and freedom, free from, the virus, free from Black Lives Matter, free from racism, free from poverty, free from just acts of genocide, terrorism, just free from everything bad. The Earth is what we make of it. We're stuck here. We have to live here. Unless we decide, God forbid, to end our own lives, we're all going to meet the same destination. And that's a box either of ashes or we're, going to be buried in the ground. So we have to make the best of life as we know it. And I had a conversation with someone who we were friends whenever we first met each other, and then we've kind of went like this, like throughout the years, and there's been various different areas of tension, like caught in the middle of mutual friends and that kind of thing, anyone watching this who's been through that, you know, can probably relate to it and probably know where I'm coming from. But the movie, as I was watching it, was making me think, you know, I regret myself some of the things that I did and said and didn't realize I was doing, you know, inadvertently hurting somebody, and not having the foresight to think, you know, before I, you know, think about what I was doing, because, you know, I thought myself I was just trying to be good for, you know, two sides, but in reality I was maybe just good for one side, or maybe no side, you know. And I was sitting watching Soul, and I was reflecting on it, and I was going, I don't want to leave this planet whenever it's my time with any, you know, regrets, with any wars not settled, with any bad blood with anybody, you know. And yeah, it's amazing that an animated movie at 24 years of age can make me feel like that. And it's just, yeah, I was speechless at the end of watching this film, to be honest with you. And I'm definitely gonna buy it when it comes out on Blu-ray, and I'm definitely gonna cherish it in my collection, because I think it's a very important film for all ages, literally all ages, and I think everyone can enjoy it on a level and get something out of it. And yeah, it's just, guys, there's nothing more I can say. Soul is a masterpiece, and if people cry at the end of it, I'm not surprised. I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10, and I'm so happy to finish this year off with a 10 out of 10 review. Yeah, maybe I'll squeeze one more in there, but I'm very happy that we got to the end of this year with a 10 out of 10 review, and I'm looking forward to fixing a few things in my own life going forward in 2021, and being a bit more prolific on this channel. You know, I took a long break there, life kind of just got in the way, but, you know, at the end of the day, all I need to do is set my camera up and sit in my car and talk about stuff with you guys for about, I don't know, 10-20 minutes at a time, maybe less, maybe more, who knows, depends what kind of rambling mood I'm in that day. But no, seriously guys, thank you very much for watching, and thank you very much for all the feedback on the 2 previous videos. And yeah, if you guys decide to watch this movie, I hope you really enjoy it, and I hope you got as much out of it as I did. And yeah, guys, we'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much, and Happy New Year.